what does gutsy mean to you?
Gutsy is just being bold, not having all the answers, know that I'm imperfect, but just still taking that next step, still stepping out and still striving to become the best version of me, even when I don't have the answers, knowing that, you know what, as I take that next step, the answers will come. And just gutsy to me is just striving to be the best version of Yinka daily.
Welcome to the Gutsy Podcast, the show where you learn how to own what you actually want and shift the mind junk that's been holding you back. I'm Laura Ora, keynote speaker, coach, and your guide to help you get clarity, build confidence, and make the gutsy moves that change your life. Each week, I'm going to help you simplify things by teaching you how to get out of your head while stepping into action. This way you can achieve all those life shifts that you've been overthinking. Your desire? That drives you. But gutsy? That's what gets it done. The words excellence and discipline are often associated with this very kind of masculine hustle energy. You know, like get up at 5 a.m. and hit the gym and make 30 phone calls and like do all this like stuff, right? Harsh morning early routines and perfectionism and outnumbering people. And it's just so not what it has to be. The truth is, excellence is about intentionality, showing up for yourself and in your life and in your business with discipline. And that's having dedication to follow through, to show up for yourself. These are the opportunities that keep the promises that you have made to yourself, the things that help you to achieve the things that are important in your life. Today's guest, Yinka Adegbenle, shows how excellence is intentional and you can use the resources that you already have to achieve the things that you want. Yinka is an excellence coach, author, and speaker who helps leaders and high achievers grow through transformational habits, character development, and systems of excellence. With an MBA and PMP certification, she brings a powerful mix of strategy and soul to her work. Yinka is also the author of Master of Excellence, 13 Principles to Help You Win at Life, which she's going to go over a few of those principles here today. Through her coaching, books, and leadership workshops, she equips others to pursue excellence in a way that transforms not just one area, but every area of their life. And I got to tell you, this resonates so deeply, especially with the women that I work with, because you're the go-getter. You're the one that gets things done. You are the furthest along in your circle. You're the one that everyone else relies on. The people in your world know that they can turn to you for guidance and insight and support in almost every area of their life. But who is that for you? Who's helping you to see what you can't see? Who's stretching you to your next level? Who's holding space for your big ideas? And who is holding you accountable when old habits want to creep back in or you start second guessing yourself? Probably no one. And maybe you've been on the search for that right person. Listen, friend, I am the go-to person for go-to people. And if you're thinking, I want to do the work, I just need someone to help me see what I can't see, help me figure out what to do next, and help me stay focused and on track so I can actually achieve this next goal, then friend, look no further. The Auraline Mastermind is the place for you to get all of these things and so much more, but in such a simplistic, direct, get shit done, but get incredibly supported along the way space. So if you are done spinning around in circles and you're ready to finally catch some traction so this thing can become reality, then go to lauraora.com/mastermind. There you can sign up and jump right in to get immediate support, or you can book a call to find out if this is the right next step for you. And you know something? I think today's episode is going to remind you that you are here for bigger things. You have a huge heart. You've got a big, beautiful mind with all kinds of creative ideas. And Yinka is going to remind you how essential it is to follow through for yourself, to acknowledge the small things, to know that the small movements forward make the big changes happen. So let's get into it. Yinka, welcome to the Gutsy Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Laura. How are you?
I am so good to be here with you. You have such a unique topic that I don't know. I just feel like you've gone very deep on very something very specific, and I'm just fascinated by what you're doing and sharing that with the audience today, which is all about excellence.
Yes, I am.
It's something that's kind of tossed around a lot, but I feel like it's kind of this mythical thing in the background. So before we dig into all that goodness, I'm certain that if you're teaching excellence, you've been on your own journey of excellence.
Yes, absolutely.
I would love to hear the backstory and what has led you to this work.
Yes, happy to share that. So all of this started, gosh, about 16 years ago now, maybe even farther than that. And I was just, living my life, waking up, going through the motions. I worked in the financial services industry then. So this was right before the Great Recession. And, I had a very highly esteemed role in investment banking. And then the recession hit. And I don't know if you remember, the financial services industry was hit the hardest. And so really that led to a wake-up call. I just really had no discipline. I just lived my life, whichever way. And so that was a wake-up call. It really was a wake-up call for me. And it was during that time, basically, there were a couple of other things. I was heavily pregnant when that happened, my second child. My husband and I just recently purchased a house. So all of that, all of that coupled together just led to that wake up call and just led me to really examine my life. And it was at that point, I didn't have all the answers at that point, but the first thing that I said I was going to do was to become more disciplined financially. And this was me I worked in financial services, went to business school, but I wasn't disciplined financially. And so once I started on that path, on learning all about financial excellence, financial diligence, and so I pulled all of the lessons and apply those lessons to other areas of my life. And as I did that, it was over time that I realized it was just really living my life in such a way where I get to strive for excellence every single day. And excellence isn't just about you wanting to be best in a certain area. It permeates every single area of our lives. And it had nothing to do with perfection. A lot of times people hear excellence and think it has to do with perfection. No, it has nothing to do with perfection. It's just doing the very best. Doing your very best with the resources that you have at your disposal. Because here's the truth. If you're not faithful with what you have right now, why should anyone trust you with more? So showing up every day and doing the very best with what you have right now, the more you do that, you're showing and you're proving that you can take on more. So you get to expand your capacity and you increase your level of efficiency as well. And we've all been dealt different hands in life, but it's just waking up and just saying, I'm not going to settle for mediocrity. I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. I'm just going to do the best with the resources at my disposal right now.
That's beautiful. And how has that? So yeah, that was a pivotal moment in your life,
Yes.
which we share a very similar kind of story with the recession and pregnancy and career change and like I was there with you in spirit,
Yeah.
noticing those things and starting to really fold in this concept of excellence in all areas of your life, starting with finances. How has that now played out in your life? Like, what have you done or achieved or lived because you adapted those principles?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. Now life, it's a gift. I live each day, like it's a gift, and time counts. So I live each day. I wake up and do the best with the resources at my disposal. So I'm not, wasting time. I'm a better steward of my resources and all that is available to me. Because I know that it's a gift. So I don't take things for granted. I took a lot for granted in the past. I don't take things for granted anymore. And it just, living each day with this sense of gratitude and just each day I strive for excellence, be it, it started off with my finances, but even a good example, space. So right now I'm here sitting in my office, I could say, well, just let everything fall into disarray. But I don't, I try to keep it as neat, clutter-free to the best of my ability. That's just a simple example, but really excellent because it's a mindset as well, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. So I'm training. The more I do that, the more I train myself to walk in excellence. And even to the little things, when I go shopping, like one of the example that I share that everyone laughs about is putting the shopping cart back. Okay. It's, you shopped, you used the shopping cart, you unload it. Just please put it back. Put it back where it belongs, as opposed to just leaving it in the next parking spot and making it impossible for whoever wants to park there to park. So it's just little things. It's not so much the big things, taking care of my body. It's the temple. This is the one body that I have, being just being diligent with the resources, all of the resources at my disposal. That's how I live my life now, just because I know it's a gift. It's a gift. And, I realize how immensely I've been blessed. So I take great care. I strive to take great care of all of the resources available to me.
I love this reframe because the word excellence, as you mentioned earlier, can very much go to like the extreme,
Yeah.
right? The perfectionism, the hustle, the never satisfied, always wanting myself up. And I think that sometimes the word excellence can, it just carries a different energy, right? But it's not what I'm hearing you define it as at all. I mean, it sounds like it's more of the daily simplistic appreciation type of things where you're living out excellence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yeah, I know. Like you rightly said, when you think excellent, you're thinking, competition, being the very best of the best and all of that. But if you dig deep into the word and to the meanings of the word, you would see that no, it's nothing like that. I have nothing against being a high achiever, striving to be the best, as long as you're clear on why you're doing that. We've all have our own race. We all have our lanes. We all have our life races to run. As long as you're running your own race, you're running it well, and whoever is next to you on your left, on your right hand side, you're not seeing it as some kind of competition where I have to outperform everyone. No, because everyone's races differ. You're running your race, the race set before you. You're running it well, and if you along the way, give your co-competitor, give them a high five, your co-runner, give them a fist bump. But it's just because you're at the end of the day, you're your own biggest competition. Because how would you if you're how would you even discover your gifts, your talent, all that you have stored up inside of you if you're so busy trying to figure out what Sandy is doing and you're trying to outperform Sandy. No, understand, know your race, your life purpose. Understand what it is and run it well. Run your race well. Your skills, your talents, hone them, develop them. It's in the process of doing that that you'll discover all of the other hidden talents and giftings that you have. And here's the thing with excellence. If you settle, if you just feel, oh, something, have a very comfortable life, I'm not going to push myself, this is good, you would miss out on so much. You'll miss out on so much because we all have so many talents. There's so much you've been put on this planet to do so much more than just settle. So the idea behind excellence is just, try to do your best. Like and it doesn't have to be, oh, you have this lofty role. As a mom, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you wake up today and say to yourself, I'm gonna be the very best mom that I can be today. If you're or wife or whatever it is, I just be the very best. Okay, this is the space that I'm working with. Something. Let me try to, if the best I can do is just pick up a few things around the house and just, make it clean as opposed to just sitting in the midst of all the clutter and the clutter is really bothering you. It's just little things. Look, those little things because you're training your mind, you're training your subconscious to become the best version of you, and that it permeates every single area of your life.
And that's what you mean by running the race well.
Yes, Yeah.
retraining your mind, recognizing the small things. How else would you run the race well for yourself?
Oh, personally or just in general?
In general, yeah, for our listeners.
Yeah, like, you know, for I'll give a good example. I talked about, just taking care of my body. We all come in various shapes and sizes, and you don't have to run marathons or anything like that. But even just, simple things like being diligent with your food choices. Again, we all know that exercise is important. Again, start where you are. If what all you can do every week is go for a 15-minute walk, that's fine. And then you build it up from there. Because the more you do, the more you expand your capacity, but as opposed to not starting at all. But just recognizing that, something, life is a gift. Um, it's a gift. My time here is very limited, and just having that legacy mindset as well. I want it to count for something. After it's all said and done, what will my loved ones, everyone, what would they say about me? What would have been my contribution to humanity? But you can, if you're not eating well, if you're not exercising, it's gonna be you don't even have the vessel. You don't even have, the vessel to do all that you want to do. But just, just knowing what you're supposed to do and doing it. And then starting with baby steps as well. Rome wasn't built in a day. Beautiful things, great things take time, but just start. You just start. And I keep talking about exercise. I don't know why I keep talking about exercising, but I remember when I started, it was just, yeah, just walking, just walking, and then after some time going to the gym. Well, before going to the gym, started working with a personal trainer to know how to work with weights, and then after a while, once I learned the ropes, and I started doing that myself. But again, just start, like if I didn't start at all, that would I would never have made it to the gym. And all of the benefits that I get from just taking care of my temple on a daily basis, I would have missed out on all of that. So again, excellence, like it's not perfection. It's not perfection. It's not it and there's it's not perfection. And there's absolutely nothing, like I mentioned before, nothing wrong with striving to be the very best, as long as your motives, your intentions are right, as long as you're not trying to outdo your next door neighbor or your cousin, or no, as long as you understand that you're your own competition and that you want to be better than you were last year in whatever area. As long as you're truthful with yourself, like, okay, these are areas where, I need help. I need help in this area. I'm going to stop being in denial. And then, okay, where do I start from? And in this digital age, there's so much information available, with AI. Where do I start from? Maybe just researching like, okay, well, maybe let me just take this first step. But as opposed to just settling, as opposed to just settling, and I know you talk about a lot about this on your podcast as well. But just, and then you're filled with resentment and all those toxic energy because you refuse to do what you're supposed to do. But just taking that first step will get you into that path towards excellence.
So many people get caught in this expectation of like they need to have it all figured out, or they need to have a big plan, or they start doing something and they don't see immediate results, and it can get really discouraging, especially in those beginning stages, like health as well, right? I'll go down that path with you. The first couple months working out, I mean, you're not seeing physical results. You might feel it, right? You might feel a little bit more clear, you might have a little bit more energy, you might just be in a better mood, but you're not looking in the mirror all of a sudden looking at a six pack because you started to walk. I mean, that would be phenomenal, but that's just not how the body works. And it's that discipline to keep going. And I know that you use that word a lot, and rightfully so, because that's really what differentiates the people that ultimately have what they want versus the ones that are still talking about it. So can we talk a little bit more about discipline and what that looks like, and especially in those hours where it doesn't look or feel like anything is really working?
One of the keys to having great discipline is having a solid routine. come up with a routine that pushes you towards excellence. A daily routine, a routine that you've put together for yourself, one that serves you, and one that helps you to be the most productive person that you can be. And it varies for each person. So once you have a routine and you get into that routine, you don't see discipline as some kind of harsh word or something that, it's only the A-listers that have. No, because again, it's just taking those little baby steps. And I talk a lot about this in the book. But once you you're intentional, and a lot of times, a lot of this is just really has to do with sitting down and asking ourselves the tough questions. Asking ourselves the tough question, like, okay, you know what? I may not have all the answers. Like, I didn't have all the answers when I set out on this path, but as I took the first step and the next step, the answers opened up to me. I stumbled upon the answers. So again, discipline isn't really so much, okay, you know what, I have to be this person. I can have any dessert, I have to, no, no. It's really just understanding and knowing what is required and doing it. And then understanding as well that to be human is to be imperfect.
Yeah.
To be human is to be imperfect. Um, we all miss it. And we all miss it. And when you miss it, don't be too hard on yourself. You're just being human. And, and then once you have that routine and once you're clear on your purpose and what you're doing, what you want to do, even when you miss it, you very quickly get back on track without being too hard on yourself. You grant yourself grace and you grant others grace as well. So yeah, discipline isn't some harsh word of where, oh, okay, I have to be disciplined, otherwise, I'll never strive to see excellence. No, it's, having those tools. There are tools, systems to help you get on that track and on that path of becoming the best version of yourself, which is really what excellence is. A person of excellence is someone who's living their lives and working consistently to become the best version of themselves and understanding that they're not perfect, that as long as they're on this planet, as long because they're human, they will miss it. And when they miss it, it's fine. It's fine. They will very quickly get back on track as well.
So much of this is about just creating new habits.
Yeah,
I mean, if we just boil it down to simplistic terms, we're just creating new habits.
absolutely.
And I so love and appreciate your approach on two words that historically are very masculine and very like hustle, which is discipline and excellence. You see videos where it's like up at 5 a.m., making 30 phone calls, doing this, doing that, right? And it's very hard. It's very harsh energy. And that works for some people. It doesn't work for most. So I love this reframe of, discipline doesn't have to be this hard word. You're not like grinding and forcing yourself to do this. It's just like it's basically keeping the promises that you kept to yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. And you hit the nail right on the head because at the end of the day, we are creatures of habits. We're creatures of habits. So if the habits that you have right now, it's like having these deep conversations with yourself, just sitting down and having this deep conversation and just writing things down. If the habits that you have right now, if they're not serving you, if they're impeding you more than instead of moving you forward, then the right thing to do is to change those habits. I'll tell you, one of the things that I do, that I've done personally many, many times, and I do this with my clients, is understanding what your core values are. What are your core values? Okay, again, once you sit down and you identify your core values or the core values that you want to be known for. For me, it's excellence, it's generosity, integrity, and gratitude. So once you understand your core values, you it's clear. So now it's clear. And then your habits and the way you live your life will mirror those core values. Okay. So even when you move away from those core values, you're very quickly you would get back, become aligned with those core values. because you've sat down, you're having this conversation with yourself as opposed to just going through the motions. Okay. So, okay, I want to be, if like I mentioned to you, I want to be known as a generous person. All right. So what does that entail? Does my family see me that way? Okay. A person of integrity. So it means that I do what I say I will do. And sometimes that is costly. We live in a world of where it's so easy to say, oh, yes, I'll do that. I'll do that. And then the next minute I can turn around and say, well, I'm not going to do that because I don't feel like it, without even communicating to the person that you told you will do that. So, but because I've said to myself, I've sat down, like this is one of my core values, is even striving to do the right thing, even when no one is looking. And what a person of integrity, their word is their bond. So, and those around me know this. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Unless, if for whatever reason, there's an emergency or something, you should be very clear that I will communicate that. I'm not just going to just sit down and say, well, man, it's too hard. I don't feel like it. I'm not going to do that because I've said to myself, I'll be known as a person of integrity. So I live my life as so. And that's just, those are just some of the components of excellence. So that you have excellence, and then there are principles, there are systems that can help you become that person of excellence. That's, really that's what my book is about. So what I've done is, in my book, I talk about excellence a lot, and then principles. I share the principles that have worked for me, and I give different examples. I've worked for my clients as well, and that's what I share because it's not just, oh, okay, I want to be a person of excellence. Okay, so what does that mean? Like you asked at the beginning, how does that even happen? Yeah, there are principles, there are systems that can help you towards that journey of becoming a person of excellence.
One of the things that I see so often with the women that step into my containers, whether it's the Gutsy Collective or into Auraline, my new mastermind, is that you are doing so much and yet somehow still feel behind or frozen or both. It's like you keep telling yourself that you want more peace, but then keep filling every single crack with more responsibilities and to-dos. And so one of the things that we're focusing on in Auraline is shifting those habits, having that reflected back to you. Because a lot of times you don't even see that it's happening. One of my superpowers is that I see what others miss. The root, the resistance, the next move that you need to make. And I show you exactly what to do with it and how to shift it. So if you're done farting around at time, you just want to get to it and get on with it, then go to lauraora.com/mastermind. You can sign up and get immediate support, or you can book a call to find out if this is the right next step for you. So I'd love to, I know we can't dig into all 13. We can't give it all away, right? We need everyone to go buy Yinka's book, which we'll link in the show notes. Would you be willing to share maybe your 3 favorite, or the 3 that you've been talking about the most lately? 3 principles that we can start to live by with excellence.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know that my favorite, but I'll say the popular ones that come up when I give lectures and talk about the book. So we have tact. Tact is just being a person of tact. Tact, gratitude. Gratitude is one major one, and then the heart, the state of your heart.
Amazing. Could you tell us a little bit more about each of those? Like, how do each of those show up? What are some examples?
Right. So tax is it's really doing as the occasion demands, being considerate of others. Really, that's what tact is, and that shows up in the way you communicate, in the way you live your life. I give the example of the shopping cart, or I talked about that. Really, tax is just because that it'll be wrong for you to put the empty cart in the next parking spot next to you, the parking spot next to you, because the person that wants to pull into that parking spot won't be able to park there because now you've obstructed their way. The tactful thing to do is put it back. And just little things like that. The way I look at it is this: if we all make these little decisions collectively, how much better will the world be?
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
So much better.
Since we're still talking about shopping and the supermarket. Okay, so you're in the supermarket and maybe you picked up something from the produce section, and then as you're walking down the aisles, you decide that you don't want it anymore, and then you have a bunch of bananas with you, and then oh, you happen to be like, "Ugh, I don't want this bananas," and then you happen to be in the detergent section, and then you just dump it there. That's not showing tact. So little things like that. Understanding that, again, I talk about communicating with tact. Maybe Laura, as an example, we went out yesterday and Laura, I didn't, the tone and what you said really bothered me. And I'm like, something, I need to discuss this with Laura. The tactful thing to do will be to maybe call you or next time I see you in private discuss that as opposed to when I see you, now I have an attitude and where we hope a whole bunch of friends and I choose to address the issue right there because I want to undermine Laura. I want to make her look small so that next time she knows not to do that. No, that's not acting with tact. So that's just an example of tact, and it takes discipline. It's just being intentional in the way we communicate, in the way we act, in the way we do things, because we're creatures of habits and gratitude. This I remember. This actually stemmed from the recession during the recession where everything just looked bleak. So when I was out of work, I would watch the news. I would listen to how many more thousands were losing their jobs every day, and how, oh my goodness, like the sky had fallen, and it was just like I knew everything looked bleak. And you know what that did? I didn't see any of the other beautiful things happening around me. I didn't see any of the other beautiful things that happened around me. And it was again just sitting with myself and having these deep conversations. And it was one day I said, something. Yes, it looks, it looks very grim right now, but there are still beautiful things. I'm so thankful for the beautiful weather. I'm thankful that, I still have a roof over my head. I'm thankful for fantastic health because I know it's not a given for many people. There's so many things. I'm thankful for a mind that works. And that works. So now a lot of little things do not miss me. Today, as I got out, as I came from the gym, as I got out, I was looking at the maple tree in the yard. And as it swayed, I'm like, look at how beautiful, look at how beautiful, look at that maple tree. Those are the kind of conversations that I have in my head. I'm like, look at that maple tree showing off. Just those little things. My little boy, just when I hear is the pitter pat of his little feet, I'm like, I get to enjoy him at this age because I know that he's not going to be a 9-year-old forever. And just not missing the beauty in life because it's so easy to be so focused on our life issues and things not happening. And I'm not undermining anything. There are times when we deal with some really, really serious issues. Everyone is fighting a silent battle. But understand that in the midst of all the chaos and everything happening, there's still beauty around you. There's still so much. We all have at least one thing, and we have many more than one thing to be grateful for. And you just try that and see what it does to you as a person. So each day, it's a habit now. I write down things. I don't just think it anymore. I write it down. I write down things that I'm grateful for. Sometimes they're big things and sometimes they're little things, but I've made it my purpose not to let the beauty, the gift, the miracles all around us um, miss me. So I try to notice them. And gratitude has helped me to do that. The heart. You know, um, if it's so easy to put up a facade where, on the inside, I don't know, like we've all been through stuff. Because it's life. Life happens to all of us. But it's so important to forgive, to deal with issues the best. And if you need the help, if you need, sometimes it could be just coaching. Coaching can help you. I've coached a lot of women, and and I've helped them. But there are times too when they come to me, and during the process of coaching, I'm like, something. I think you actually need a therapist. I think you need, in addition to coaching, you need to go see a therapist. But Because here's the thing, nothing good, everything emanates from our heart. Nothing good is gonna grow from a heart that's just filled with bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness, undealt with trauma. So what happened to you or what they did to you probably wasn't your fault. It might not be your fault, but it's your responsibility to do the healing work, to heal from that. And you're not doing it for them. You're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. Because it's, if you decide to hold on to the unforgiveness, the resentment, the bitterness, science now shows that, and it just causes havoc and just the damage that it causes in our lives, the diseases, serious chronic diseases as well. There's studies after studies after studies to back it up. And so it begs the question, that health issue, could the deep, again, I'm not a medical professional, but just from studies that I've seen, that health issue that you've been battling for many, many years now, could the root cause because you're holding on to unforgiveness or resentment or bitterness or something that happened many, many years ago or many decades ago? So it's the healing from that is our responsibility. And to understand that you're not doing it for them, whoever hurt you. I've worked with clients where the person died 10 years ago, but they were still carrying the hurt, the resentment from that. And it was just, causing huge havoc in their lives. So is ensuring that your heart, to the best of as best as you can, your heart is pure, because you want it's when your heart is pure, when your heart is clean, when you're not holding on to grudges and things like that, beautiful things grow from your heart, and it reflects on the outside as well. I joke about this all the time. So I'm gonna be 47 this year, and I'm like, and whenever I say that, everyone goes, oh, oh my goodness, you look like in your 30s, or I've heard 25. And one day I sat down. I thank God for good genetics, but I think a lot of it has to do as well with just doing that work. I've done the work. I've been in therapy, just doing that work, just ensuring that I keep my heart pure, because it will, with all of the science backing this up right now, eventually all of the ugliness on the inside, it will start to show on the outside. It will start to show on the outside. So again, there's no one is perfect, but to have tools, to have a system in place that even when people hurt you, and we're human, we have emotions, people will do things to hurt you, and vice versa, because we're all imperfect. But to have ways, a system of how to release it, as opposed to holding on to it and let it grow and let it, take root, and then it causes all kinds of havoc. So that's really the heart, guarding your heart. Don't be so quick to be offended. Let things go. If you have to deal with, confront issues, confront them, but don't just hold on and bottle things up and feel, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna cover everything up. I'm gusty, I'm a go-getter, but deep down you're silently dying. So the heart, so just dealing with all of those inner issues, just doing the inside work, the inner work, the required inner work.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Such an underutilized tool, and carries so much more power and so much more weight than people realize. I loved how you said gardening your heart. And I think that's such a cool visual representation of, if we don't take care of what's on the inside, eventually it will come out, and not typically in the way that we want it to. I think sometimes we think that there's strength in dealing with it on my own, or carrying it with it, or just not processing, or bottling it up, or putting it under the bed in a shoebox, or whatever metaphor we want to use. But that stuff doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. In fact, you're planting a seed that is growing,
Yes.
sometimes rapidly, and it's going to come out. I love I can confirm, never would have guessed you were turning 47 this year. There is a little bit of a fountain of youth here, friends. If we listen to Yinka about dealing with the inside stuff outside, because you're not carrying all that stress and the weight and the anxiety and all that stuff, like it starts to show, whether it's in a physical ailment or through your expression or through your skin, right?
Yes.
Like your
Yes.
body is speaking to you.
Exactly. Exactly. And and here's the thing, and a lot of times people might not even you might not even realize, like, you've sort of lived in that way for such a long time that you might not even realize that, okay, I'm holding on to all of this negative emotions. But so I'm hoping that, as your audience, my audience, whoever listens to this, my hope is that they take that first step because it is so important. Let me even use myself as an example. The last couple of weeks have been very hectic and very stressful, and I realized that I've taken very little time for self-care. It was just been one major project after the other. It's just been just very hectic, and because I'm an introvert. So I need downtime, like I need downtime. When I go full throttle, I need downtimes just so I can recharge, recoup. And just 2 days ago, I saw that I was, just very cranky, and I was, the way I was kind of lashing out a little bit, and I had to just take a couple of steps back, and I realized that my body was just tired, tired, and I had failed to take time to rest, to recharge. Okay, so again, it falls under the heart issue. It's just not because I wasn't really taking care of myself, and now now it's highly irritable. Really nobody's fault, but just because I failed to take care of myself really. So it's just those little steps, those little habits, understanding yourself better, and doing what is necessary, what will help you be your best self, on a daily basis.
Amazing. You have the ability to change so much in your world if you're willing to go there.
Yeah, yeah,
With the example you just shared, that's one of the coolest parts about doing this inner work and really living in excellence is that you catch it much faster.
yes,
It doesn't
yes,
become the whole next thing that it was for the next 5 years. Now you have to undo it. It's like, oh no, I can see. I
yes.
see the habit. I see the pattern. I see my old ways trying to kind of creep back in. But now that you've built those habits and that discipline, it's like, okay, I see it for what it is. I'm not making it mean anything. I'm just going to get back on my own track and run my own race again.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, yeah, exactly. Like I regret, and the time, if it's, if it means going to whoever you snapped at, I'm sorry. I was having a long day. I'm so sorry I snapped at you. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that. If that's all it takes, that's all it takes. Okay. And then we move on from there. But like you rightly said, Laura, as opposed to just ignoring it and thinking, okay, yeah, I've got this. I'm just going, and then it's like 5 years and you have a trail of major damage, broken bridges behind you. And now it's going to take next 20 years to undo all of that damage, to fix all of that damage. So it's just really, knowing you. And I love in this, I mean, I love personal assessment tests. I mean, there are so many of them that helps you to get a better understanding for who you are. You get to learn about yourself, your character, your personality better. So there's so many resources and tools at our disposal in this day and age that we can use to help us become people of excellence.
Absolutely. Yinka, I want to make sure that everyone knows where to connect and find you to get your book. I love your approach on excellence. So tell us where can we find you? Where can we get the book?
Thank you. Thank you so much. So my book, Master Excellence, 13 Principles to Help You Win at Life. It's available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold. You can Barnes& and Nobles, Target, Walmart. You can find them everywhere books are sold online. And you can find me on social media. My handle is at Ways of Excellence. At Ways of Excellence is my social media handle. YouTube, um, Instagram, Facebook. And you can also, if you if you want, you can reach out to me directly as well. My website is my full name, Yinka, www.yinkaadegbenle.com. You can find me there as well.
Perfect. We will link all of that in the show notes. And I got to know, what does gutsy mean to you?
Gutsy is just really everything that we talked about today. being bold, not having all the answers, knowing that I'm imperfect, but just still taking that next step, still stepping out and still striving to become the best version of me, even when I don't have the answers, knowing that, you know what, as I take that next step, the answers will come. And just gutsy to me is just striving to be the best version of Yinka daily.
You know, one of the things that I love most about what Yinka shared is that excellence isn't about perfection. It's about showing up every day with intention, intentionally having conversations, intentionally acknowledging the things that you have in your life, intentionally healing and working with and releasing the strings on your heart. Friends, sometimes I think that we think that the answer to life is in these big ass complicated situations, when in reality, it's in these micro moments. The moments where you choose to slow down long enough to see, acknowledge, understand, and nurture yourself. I highly encourage that you purchase Yinka's book, Master Excellence. I've linked the Amazon link in the show notes below. And if you found this episode powerful, informative, supportive, forward this to a friend. Let's encourage all the women in our life to live and lead with excellence. If we're not already friends on social, what are we doing? For real. Come find me. I'm at that Laura Aura across all the platforms. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.